In this video, I'm going to share with you how you can sell a property at full market price in a declining market. So really it's aimed at landlords who are looking to dispose of some of their properties and don't want to sell at a discount. However, if you're looking to buy properties, I highly recommend you watch this video because you can understand how you can help landlords sell their property at full price, but you also benefit. So my name's Simon Zutshi. I'm the author of Property Magic, the Amazon #1 property bestseller. I'm the founder of the Property Investors Network with 50 meetings around the UK. That means we've got our ear to the ground. We know what's happening in the market. And I can tell you a lot of landlords looking to sell right now. And I've been investing in property myself since 1995 and teaching other people like you since 2003 how to be successful investors. Now, prices are coming down. If you're a landlord and you're looking to sell your property right now, realistically, if you want to sell it, you're going to have to sell it probably 10 or 15% below market value. Now, having said that, as you know, we've had incredible growth over the last 12 years. So even selling at a slight discount now to get it sold quickly, you're still going to make lots of money. Now, there are three different scenarios I want to talk about. Maybe you've got property where there's no mortgage at all. Maybe you've got a property where you've got a mortgage, but it's a fixed interest rate. Or maybe you've got a property with a mortgage that's a variable rate. We're going to talk about that first of all, because that's a little bit of a problem. As you know, interest rates have shot up massively, back more like the rates we had before the global financial crisis in 2007 and the crash in 2008. So interest rates about 6%. That means that the great cash flow you've been making previously for the last decade or so, that's been squashed and even sometimes completely diminished. The big difference now, though, is if you own that property in your own name, we're affected by Section 24, where you can't offset all of the interest costs against your rental income. And so there are some landlords with properties that are making no cash, and yet they're going to have to pay money to the tax man. Now, people who want to continue as landlords, they might have put them into a company structure where you're not affected by Section 24. That can be expensive. And I know lots of landlords have not bothered to do that because they were making great cash flow. So right now, if you've got a property where the mortgage rate's gone up and you're making no cash flow, I can understand why you might want to sell that property. But if you want to sell, you're going to sell at a discount. However, I do have a technique I'm going to show you that we helped many landlords do back in 2008, and I've used to sell some of my properties over the last few years using this strategy. So it's what we call a purchase lease option, where we are selling the right to buy this property to someone else. Now, in this case, it's probably going to be either another property investor or a tenant buyer. So we're going to enter into a contract and we might agree to sell the property at the full market price. So instead of selling at a discounted rate, you can sell at the full market price. However, the buyer is not going to buy the property right now. They're going to buy in 3 or maybe 5 years' time. Why? Well, prices are coming down right now. It's unlikely they'd agree a price now because they could get at a bigger discount elsewhere. But the market's probably going to come down for a year or two, then it's going to recover. The underlying trend in the UK, property prices go up because we do not have enough accommodation. The government think we need 300,000 homes each year. We're only building 200,000. So there is a shortage. As you know, rental demand is really high right now. But if you want to get rid of your property, this is the one of ways you can do it. Now, the person you sell it to, so it's either going to be another investor. Now, they need to cover all the costs for you. And maybe you're renting your property out as a single let property. What they could do is repurpose it and rent it out in a different way, a more profitable way. They could rent it out as an HMO, subject to licensing, of course, or as a short-term rental, serviced accommodation, that kind of idea, where they get a much higher rent. That means the investor you're renting it to, they can pay you the market rent, cover all your expenses. You don't need to spend any money on management because they manage it. They take care of all the bills, all the maintenance. All you have to do is cover the mortgage with the income they give you. So that can be a great strategy. And then rather than selling your property at a discount now, you're going to get the full price in the next 3 to 5 years. Now you might say, yeah, but I just want to sell. I want to get the money. Now, if you're selling a property to get the money because you need to use it to pay off some other debt or make some other investment, then an option won't really work. But if you don't really need the money, you're just going to stick it in the bank, well, it's not going to do much for you there. So rather than selling at a discounted rate and taking less money, You're going to get more money by accepting money in the future, and in the meantime, someone looking after the property for you. So it can either be an investor who's going to use it in a different way and make money by doing it, or it could be what we call a tenant buyer. Now, this is someone who wants to get their foot on the ladder. They're desperate to get into their own home, but for whatever reason, they can't get a mortgage right now. Now, it's important to make sure they will be able to get a mortgage in the future. So maybe they can't get a mortgage now because maybe they're a foreign national, they might be a foreign doctor on £100,000 a year, but they just can't get a mortgage because they've not lived here long enough. In a few years, that won't be a problem. Maybe they're on a lower salary, but they're a trainee. They're a trainee accountant, solicitor, on a small salary now, but as soon as they qualify in a few years, their salary will double and they'll be able to get a mortgage. Or maybe they've had a blip in their credit report. They can't get finance right now, but they will be able to in the future. So as long as someone will be able to get a mortgage, affording your property, they could be a great person to put in as a tenant buyer. They're not like a normal tenant. You don't have the responsibility of looking after it. They look after the property. In fact, they might even want to add value to the property. Put a new kitchen in, put a deck in, whatever it might be. They can add value. They are improving the property that you still own, but they're doing it because they want to have a capital appreciation. So in other words, it works really well for the tenant buyer or the investor you pass the property to, but it also works really well for you as well. So that's if you've got a variable mortgage. Now, if you've got no mortgage at all or a fixed mortgage, well, it's not a problem. Interest rates are not a problem for you, but maybe you're tired. Maybe you're fed up of all the legislation, Section 24, the fact that, by 2025, you've got to have an EPC rating at C or above for your property, and that's going to involve you spending money and time, and you're just fed up. You want to retire. And look, there are always people coming into the market who are keen to take on properties like this, and always people like you who maybe want to retire and come out of the market. So working with people who can help you, give you what you want, and they get what they want is a really smart thing to do. Now, normally when you do an option, you must do it through solicitors to make sure everything's put together correctly. Most solicitors, unfortunately, don't understand this, and you might have heard of options yourself, you might have done some, but most people who I meet, although they've heard about it, they really don't know what's involved, they don't know how to do it. So you've got to learn and educate yourself to do it properly. Do everything through solicitors, and to make it a legally binding contract, you've got to receive an option fee. It's a consideration. Now, normally when we sell an option to someone, when we buy an option, we want the option fee to be as low as possible, ideally £1. Sometimes it might be several £1,000s. However, when you are selling an option, which is what you will be doing, you want to make sure they put some getting started money in, some commitment money, so that they look after your property, and they're not just doing this because they can, they're doing it, they've considered it because they're putting 3 or 5 down, or maybe more money down as a bit of an upfront fee. Now that upfront fee comes to you if they decide to buy the property, what they've paid in advance, that comes off the end price. But remember, with an option, the person you've given this option to, they've got the right to buy, but not the obligation to do so. So in 3 or 5 years, they might not buy. They could just give you back the property. Now, we want to make sure when you get it back in the same condition or better than you gave it to them, and hopefully they've improved it over that time. But actually, there are plenty of other people who would love to jump onto this opportunity, and they might want to take on an option as well. So you might not get rid of it in 5 years' time. It might come back to you, but you find someone else who could take it on, and you don't have the hassle. At the end of the option period, if they don't buy, the property comes back to you and you could do whatever you want with it. It might be the case that they want to renegotiate. Maybe it's not quite right conditions in 5 years' time to buy, and as long as you're happy with that, you can renegotiate the terms. Maybe you get a bit more upfront option fee. Maybe they pay you a bit more on a monthly basis. That's entirely down to your negotiation. But just recognize you might get the property back. Now, if you have no mortgage at all or a low mortgage, when you sell the property, that money's going to go and sit in the bank and do absolutely nothing for you. Whereas if you do an option, not only can you get today's full price agreed, but if they're paying you extra money over and above any mortgage payments, that's extra money you get every single month. If you add that up over the 12 months and over the number of years, that could be tens of thousands of pounds extra, which you're getting from the sale of this property. And think about this, when you sell a property, you don't get any more rental income from it. This is a way of actually taking away all the hassle from you, but still getting a rental income coming in from this property. So it's an incredibly powerful strategy when you understand how they work correctly. And if you'd like to learn more about how you can use purchase lease options, either to get rid of some of your properties, or if you're looking to buy more, how you can use it to acquire property where you don't need a deposit, you don't need a mortgage, and it can happen very quickly, I've got some live online training all about it. So click on the link below, come and register as soon as you can to make sure you don't miss this. Come and participate in this live online training where I explain how this works and what you need to know. And because it's live, you can ask questions and we'll answer as many questions as we can on that live training. So I take the opportunity. Purchase lease options are something that many people have heard about. Most people do not understand. When you understand this, you're going to have a massive competitive advantage. The market's coming down. This is the perfect time for options, whether you're buying or selling property. You really need to know about this. So click on the link below. I do hope this video has been useful. If it has, please click the like button. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell icon, because then you're going to get notified whenever videos like this come out. And often they're timely, so you want to make sure you're watching them when they come out rather than months and months later. I do hope it's been useful for you. As ever, I encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill. Click on the link below and come and join me for the live lease option training. See you very soon. I do hope you got massive value from watching this YouTube video. I'd encourage you to click on the link below to come and do the online training with me. And I've got another video lined up for you, which I think is also going to be really useful, that you should watch once you've registered for the online training with me. So invest with knowledge, invest with skill. I'll see you very soon.